Our home. This small blue sphere suspended in the vastness of space, fragile and magnificent, as astronauts describe it when seen from orbit. Today, it shelters over 8 billion humans, millions of living species, mountains, oceans, deserts, and forests. But this planet was not always the cradle of life we know. Let's travel 4.5 billion years back in time. The Earth we know does not exist yet. In its place, a chaotic and violent universe where colliding worlds, exploding stars, and relentless meteor showers shape the cosmos. In this episode, we will tell the story of the birth of our planet, from the Big Bang that gave birth to the universe to the formation of the Earth, the creation of its atmosphere, and the emergence of the oceans that would one day become the cradle of life. A journey spanning billions of years, condensed into just a few minutes. Hold on tight, because it all begins in unimaginable chaos. The Big Bang and the birth of the universe. The story of Earth begins long before its existence. Around 13.8 billion years ago, the entire universe was contained within a single point, a tiny, infinitely dense and hot singularity. Then, a sudden expansion, the Big Bang. It was not a normal explosion, but an expansion of space itself. In a fraction of a second, the temperature dropped and the first particles appeared: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Within the first 3 minutes, the nuclei of hydrogen and helium formed. But it would take millions of years before the universe cooled enough for the first stars to ignite. These giant stars, burning their nuclear fuel, created the heavier elements: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron. And when they died in supernova explosions, they scattered these elements throughout the cosmos. It is because of them that we exist. As the astrophysicist Carl Sagan beautifully said, "We are made of star stuff." The birth of the sun. Fast forward several billion years. We are now in a spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy. Around 4.6 billion years ago, a vast nebula of gas and dust, the remains of a dead star, drifted in space. Under the pull of gravity, this cloud began to collapse in on itself. At its center, matter accumulated and heated up until a glowing sphere of gas ignited. This was the birth of our sun. Around it, the remaining gas and dust continued to spin, forming a protoplanetary disk, a swirling, rotating ring of cosmic debris. Within this disk, tiny particles clumped together, forming larger and larger blocks. These fragments collided, fused, and gradually grew into planets. Among them was the Earth. The molten Earth. 4.5 billion years ago, Earth began to take shape. But forget the image of a blue planet. At that time, it was a ball of fire. Its surface was an ocean of molten lava, with temperatures soaring above 2,000 degrees Celsius. The sky was opaque, filled with toxic gases, and the planet was bombarded endlessly by asteroids and comets. These violent impacts melted the crust over and over again. Heavy elements like iron and nickel sank toward the center, forming the core, while lighter materials like silica floated upward to create the mantle and the crust. This process, called planetary differentiation, gave the Earth its internal layers: a solid and liquid core, a thick mantle, and a thin, fragile crust on top. The birth of the moon. Then came one of the most dramatic events in Earth's history. A planet the size of Mars, named Theia, collided with the young Earth. The impact was beyond imagination. Billions of tons of rock were blasted into space. Some of it fell back to the surface, but much of it remained in orbit. Over time, these fragments gathered together to form a glowing sphere, our moon. Since that day, the moon has circled around us, shaping our world in ways we rarely notice. It stabilizes the tilt of Earth's axis, giving us regular seasons. It creates the tides, which will later play a crucial role in the evolution of life. Without the moon, our planet would be far more unstable and chaotic. The primitive atmosphere. At this point, Earth was still an unforgiving world. Nothing grew, nothing breathed. Mountains erupted fire, and the ground cracked open, releasing boiling geysers of gas and steam. No breathable air, no oceans, no life. The atmosphere was a suffocating prison, thick with volcanic gases, carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, and water vapor. The sky was not blue, but dark, gray, and red, streaked with lightning and colossal storms. Every breath, if one were possible, would have been pure poison. There was no free oxygen anywhere. And yet, this chaos was essential. That thick blanket of gas played a vital role. It trapped heat, preventing the planet from freezing in the cold emptiness of space, and it held on to the water vapor that would soon transform the Earth forever. Deep inside the planet, the heat slowly decreased. The stage was set for the heavens to open for the first time. The primordial oceans. Millions of years passed. The molten surface of Earth began to cool. The water vapor trapped in its heavy atmosphere slowly condensed. And then, one day, the miracle happened. It rained. Massive dark clouds covered the entire planet. Rain poured endlessly, torrential, violent, unrelenting, for thousands of years. Every drop that touched the burning ground instantly turned into steam, only to rise, condense, and fall again. This cycle continued until the surface finally cooled enough for water to remain liquid. Rivers carved deep channels into the soft rock. Lakes formed, merging into vast seas, and eventually into immense oceans. It was an endless deluge, a planetary cleansing. Some scientists believe Earth could not have produced all this water on its own. Comets and asteroids rich in ice crashed onto the surface, releasing their frozen cargo as vapor. Each impact brought a little more water to this world in the making. Regardless of where it came from, within a few 100 million years, the transformation was complete. The planet was unrecognizable. No longer a fiery inferno, but a blue world wrapped in oceans and clouds. Beneath these waters, something extraordinary began to stir. In the deep, around hydrothermal vents, minerals mixed and combined. The building blocks of life, invisible, fragile, but real, began to appear. A habitable world. In just 500 million years, Earth had undergone an unimaginable metamorphosis. It had evolved from a molten sphere of fire to a world with a magnetic core, shielding its surface from solar winds, with a dense atmosphere that retained warmth, a moon that stabilized its movements, and vast oceans capable of nurturing life. What was once a glowing rock drifting through space had become a cradle. The planet now breathed, slowly and rhythmically. Rain fell, oceans evaporated, clouds formed. The water cycle had begun. Continents started to emerge, shaping the face of the planet. Everything was ready for the greatest adventure of all, the birth of life. So the next time you look at the moon or gaze upon the ocean, remember, these are the silent witnesses of a chaotic past. The birth of Earth is the story of chaos turned into balance, of destruction transformed into creation, of matter becoming promise. It is the first chapter of our own story.